So let's have a conversation about living an extraordinary life. Now, when you hear the word extraordinary, what comes to mind for you? You see, each person must define extraordinary for themselves. What's extraordinary to me may not be extraordinary to you. So ask yourself this question. Do you think it's possible for you to live an extraordinary life? And what would an extraordinary life look like for you? You see, for me, when I think about an extraordinary life, I think about having great relationships, dynamic health, financial abundance, rewarding career, loving families, inner peace. These are the things for me that define extraordinary. And so when I can put all those pieces together and have all of that in my life, then I'm living an extraordinary life. And so I hear a lot of brothers say that, I'm a pie in the sky, overly optimistic kind of guy, and I shouldn't be saying those types of things. But I'm going to tell you, if you're watching this video right now, I know with absolute certainty you have everything you need right now to create an extraordinary life. Now, will it be easy? Absolutely not. But is it doable? Absolutely. You see, unfortunately, too many of us are so conditioned by the media that we simply give up and stop trying and don't reach for the stars. But it is our responsibility to do that. And so I know that in a lot of cases, I've been called a sellout because I'm an optimist, because I see the world through an optimistic lens. And I don't deny the challenges. I see all the challenges that we face. I've personally gone through all of the challenges that we face. I've actually personally had to deal with Ku Klux Klan members personally, threaten my life, and I'm only 55. So I know racism exists. I know discrimination exists. I know that there is police brutality. I know all these things are real. But at the same time, I also know that it is absolutely possible for any person, regardless of what color you are, to create an extraordinary life. And so I believe the key for us, especially as men of color, is to change our mindsets. Change our mindsets to recognize that we are endowed with an infinite capacity for learning and for growing. And we must be willing to invest in our own potential if we truly want to create an extraordinary life. So we have to understand the paradox of living in America. And the paradox is this. If I say that there are unequal opportunities for men of color because of discrimination and racism and all those other challenges I mentioned, that's a true statement. It's uneven. But if I also say that in America, anyone who's willing to put forth the effort can live an extraordinary life, that too is a true statement. So it seems like a conflict there, that on one hand I'm saying racism exists, and on the other hand I'm saying it's possible to live an extraordinary life. Well, that's the paradox. Because yes, racism exists. Yes, discrimination exists. But at the same time, look at how far we have come within, in my opinion, a very short period of time. You see, I'm only 55 years old. And I remember very specifically the 60s and growing up with segregation and all of that. And I've never allowed the color of my skin to keep me from accomplishing anything I set my mind to. And the reason that I've been able to create my version of an extraordinary life is because I've always relied on my own intellect, my own heart, my own passion, my own drive to help me attain whatever goals I set forth. So I want you to start right now and just imagine, what would an extraordinary life look like for you? Paint a picture in your mind. What would it look like? Would you be married? What kind of house would you have? What kind of job would you have? What kind of physical condition you'd be in? Start thinking about, in an ideal situation, what would that look like for you? Because the key to creating an extraordinary life is, first and foremost, we must imagine it in our minds before we make it a reality. And once we have that picture in our mind, then we've got to work like heck to make it happen. And that means we've got to study, we've got to learn, we've got to grow, we've got to challenge ourselves. We've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable in our own personal growth and development. And that's the only way we as men of color are going to succeed on an extraordinary level. So don't buy into the hype of the media. Don't condition your mind to believe what the media is feeding you, because the media is going to feed you everything that's wrong, and it's going to convince you that you can't. But I'm here to say that you can. You see, if I can overcome being a high school dropout, a divorce, bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a deep state of depression, where I even contemplated taking my own life, if I can overcome all those challenges, I know that you also can do the same. But it's up to you to make a choice. And that choice is to live an extraordinary life. And that's the reason I've put together this resource, because it's going to be filled with tools to support, empower, and challenge you to live an extraordinary life. But you've got to put forth the effort. I can provide the teaching, I can provide the wisdom, I can provide the courses, but if you aren't willing to learn, there's nothing I can do for you. You know, there's a wonderful saying that says, if someone doesn't want to learn, no one can teach them. But if a person does want to learn, no one can stop them. So you have to make a decision that you want to learn. And as soon as you make that decision, check out the resources on this site. It's lots of resources that can support and empower you to learn how to live an extraordinary life. So are you willing to take advantage of these resources? Think about it.